that this is being streamed worldwide, and that we have over 2,000 computers connected watching this, and several of them with several sommeliers that have gathered together to watch this competition all around the world right now, as well as our neighbor next door in the Hyatt. So thank you to all over the world.
Okay.
We know it's late in Europe and very early in Japan.
Fantastic. That's wonderful news. Thank you very much, Andres. So now, our third candidate.
Last but not least, Julie Dupouy from Ireland. Julie Dupouy d'Irlanda.
Thank you so much.
Julie, before we start, just a few words. How has it been so far?
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Andres, for organizing such a fantastic event. It was a dream. I mean, it's a dream to participate, to be here, but it was outstanding. The few days we spent here were magical. We got to taste so many wines, absolutely amazing wines. We got to meet amazing people and visit stunning vineyards. I mean, it was just, and the organization was absolutely perfect. So really congratulations on that. It was amazing.
You're going to make me blush.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a big team. We have over 150 people of the Sommelier Association. So thank you.
Are you ready to start?
I am.
Okay, no rush. This is your first task. At this table, you will have 8 minutes. Are you ready? The time will only start once the instructions are given. So.
Okay, I'm ready. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello. Could you please serve us a bottle of Moët et Chandon extra brut for the 3 of us? And for my friend, a very dry martini cocktail.
May I ask you to repeat the question, please?
Yes, with pleasure. Could you please serve us a bottle of Moët et Chandon extra brut for the 3 of us? And for my friend, a very dry martini cocktail.
Certainly, my pleasure.
So, thank you. We start.
Thank you very much.
Time.
Just to check something with you, sir, actually, Moët et Chandon doesn't produce an extra brut. We have a brut imperial, Moët imperial. Would you be happy with this? Otherwise, we have a fantastic Grand Vintage 2006.
Is it extra brut?
It's not labeled as extra brut, but there is very little residual sugar. It's about 5 grams per liter, so that would be the driest. My apologies, I believe you chose the martini. I might check it for you if you don't mind. Thank you. Absolutely perfect. Would you like your martini with a twist or with an olive, sir?
Classic.
Classic martini. It's good to turn the ice quite a lot to get the temperature you want, but too much will bring too much dilution, so I will just stop here for you. Two 2006 was a particularly great vintage in Champagne. There is quite a lot of Chardonnay in this blend and Pinot Noir. It was very good in Vallée de la Marne and Montagne de Reims. Sorry, no Montagne de la Marne. Côte des Blancs for the Chardonnay and Montagne de Reims for the Pinot Noir. It has been aged for about 7 years on the lees, so you have a wonderful complexity in this champagne. And it's the current release actually of Moët & Chandon Grand Vintage. If you don't mind, I will serve your guests first before I process your champagne service. Now the chef will prepare some beautiful little gougère puff pastry with a little bit of cheese for you for the aperitif. That will match perfectly this extra brut champagne. And for you, sir, it will be lovely as well. And we'll bring you a few more olives if you like. So please enjoy your aperitif and enjoy your day with us today. Very welcome.
So, Julie, your next task would be with this table, be here. And Mr. Paolo Basso will explain to you, will give you the instruction and will give you the time as well.
Certainly. Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
So, we have a group of wine lovers who ordered these great wines that will be displayed on the screen in a while. These great wines of the world. Could you please recommend a menu for us to enjoy this wine and a brief presentation of the wines? You have 1 minute to look at the labels. If you cannot read one, I will read it for you once. And then you will have 6 minutes to complete the task.
May I ask you to repeat the task, please?
Of course. We have a group of wine lovers who ordered these great wines of the world. Could you please recommend a menu for us to enjoy the wines and a brief presentation of the wines. You have 1 minute to look at the labels. If you cannot read one, I will read it for you once. And then you will have 6 minutes to complete the task. Are you ready?
I am, thank you.
Is it clear? Because the acoustic is not very good.
Yes, no, it's clear. Yes.
Sure. As soon as the label comes, we will start the time. Time.
Well, now you have 6 minutes.
Yes, fantastic. So to start with, I would recommend to have the Auslese Riesling to start with. Absolutely beautiful wine from the Schwarzhofberger estate of Egenmüller. I think this wine should be served with our specialty at the moment, which is a pan-fried foie gras. It's a wine with some residual sugar, but it's balanced, but an outstanding level of acidity. It's very vibrant, very energetic. So it will cut through the richness of the foie gras, balance the richness of the foie gras. This foie gras will be served with some toasted almond and a citrus sauce reduction with it to mirror some of the flavors found in the wine. Then for the second wine, with the Clos Saint-Denis, I think we are on one of the fantastic Grand Cru vineyards from Moret Saint-Denis in Burgundy. I would like to serve you a light meat to start, so we are going to do a small portion of a partridge. The partridge is going to be served very lightly cooked, so to really keep the moisture in the partridge. And with it, we are going to play a little bit with some earthy flavors, with mild earthiness, which will be found in an aged Pinot Noir, with some girole mushrooms, which have a sweet earthiness. And there will be just a little bit of the sauce de cuisson from the partridge served with it. Then to follow, I will organize for you to have the Penfold Grange 1990, which is an outstanding Syrah or Shiraz, because it's from Australia. It's the same grain varietal, but they call it Shiraz in Australia. Absolutely amazing. Lots of spiciness in this wine. It's Syrah, so very savory, black olive, a little bit of black pepper in terms of aromatical. And on the palate, it has a beautiful freshness as well for a red wine. However, because of the age and because it is from Australia, the tannins are very silky, a beautiful texture on the palate. So for this, I was thinking we need a succulent meat. At the moment, it's a season of lamb. Lamb, because of the component of lamb in terms of molecules, goes extremely well with Shiraz or Syrah generally. So we'll do a rack of lamb for you. And I will organize to make sure that there is a lot of savoriness to mirror the savoriness found in the wine with a ratatouille, a beautiful ratatouille with some gorgeous aubergine and courgettes. And I will serve it with black olive tapenade for you. So quite Provençal in style, seasonal, but will work very, very well with the dish. Then to follow, we'll do a middle course. Actually, I'm very sorry, I did forget one wine because I wasn't having the label there. I would like to go back on the Soy San Lorenzo from Gaia, which is Piemonte. It's a wine which is going to be a little bit younger. It's Nebbiolo. It has a beautiful level of acidity as well, very fresh, very vibrant. But then we will do a small middle course between the starter and the meat and the light meat course. We'll do something quite traditional from Piemonte. We'll do a tortellini of freshly grated Alba truffle. I think that would be a lovely pairing with the Nebbiolo. 97 was a fantastic vintage in Piemonte. It will have time. I'll decant it for you before we serve it when you have the first wine, and it will have time to breathe. It will be beautiful. We'll decant as well the Penfolds Grange. Then, after the Penfolds Grange, to follow, we will go to Napa Valley. We will go for Allen Estates, fantastic Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa, a full-bodied style of wine. Who says for full-bodied styles of wine need a meat with quite a lot of structure. So I'm thinking we're in Argentina. We should have a look at beautiful products from here. I mean, we have some fantastic beef from here. So I think if we were to go for something quite a little bit rustic at the same time, so a rib of beef, which is going to be cooked traditionally on the barbecue, which is going to be served with some grilled vegetables, just on the side, and also a little bit of chimichurri sauce, and we'll go easy on the garlic presence just to not it to be overpowering in front of the wine. So then to continue with, and finally to finish, I would love to recommend the Vin de Constance with a beautiful dessert made from baked apricots, apricots which are packed with sweetness, lots of beautiful fruitiness to apricot. It's always a dream to bake apricot. And we will serve this with an ice cream flavored like a lavender ice cream and a little bit of lavender honey. So Vin de Constance is one of the emblematic wine from South Africa, from Constantia area. It's the wine made from Muscat of Alexandria, late harvest. It's not fortified. It's a wine with a
1 minute.
It's a wine with a beautiful aromatic expression to it, very perfumed. You find a lot of those stone fruit flavors in the wine, which will mirror the flavors found in the dessert and vice versa. And then it's balanced by a beautiful level of acidity. So I think you are in for a beautiful night tonight. It's going to be a lovely tasting for you, gentlemen. The Vin de Constance will be served chilled. The Riesling will be served chilled. However, I will make sure that it is not too chilled. I will serve the Riesling at around 12 degrees to maximize the purity of the fruit and the expression of this outstanding Riesling, which is one of the fantastic wines of this world. And the Vin de Constance I will be serving at around 8 to 9 degrees, the same to really maximize the fruit. Pinot Noir will be served a little bit cooler, so around 16 degrees. The Barolo, the Barbaresco will be served at 16, 17 degrees as well. And then when we go to the Allen Estate, I will stay around this temperature as well, 16 to 17, because it's the one with a little more power and alcohol. It will be just to minimize the alcohol impression.
Time. You are going to stay here for your next task. For the same table, Mr. Paolo Basso will give you the instruction. You won't have to do anything, just...
I do have a glass of water.
A glass
Just
of water,
a glass
of course,
of water.
certainly. Can we get a glass of water for the candidate?
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Ready? I can see an espresso machine in your restaurant. So, could you please advise me of the most suitable Grand Cru coffee to match some black chocolate truffles? And also, please suggest a spirit or a liqueur at the same time. You would like I repeat?
Yes, please.
Okay. I can see an espresso machine in your restaurant. So, could you please advise me of the most suitable Grand Cru coffee to match some black chocolate truffles? And also, please suggest a spirit or a liqueur at the same time.
Certainly.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, you have 2 minutes for the task.
Certainly. So we have a beautiful section of an espresso coffee. However, I think to go with the dark chocolate truffle, I would like to recommend the single origin from Brazil, which we have at the moment, which is a lovely, voluptuous, rounded, smooth texture on the palate. Aromatically speaking, it's a coffee, quite a lot of dark chocolate aromatically and some nuttiness, a little bit of nuttiness. It's a relatively full coffee, but with a mild bitterness that will just mirror the level of bitterness found in the dark chocolate that we are serving at the moment. And it's a coffee with a lovely level of acidity as well. It's not the highest in acidity, but however, it's present and it's very balanced. Now, in terms of the liqueur, I think I would love to recommend some things for South America, because we are in South America, so I think I would love to recommend a Gran Pisco from Chile. It's a producer called Capel. It's their bicentenario. It's made from a grape called Italia. It has been aged for about 3 years in cask. It has a beautiful touch of sweetness, nearly like a rum to it, with a lot of flavors of caramel and sweet spices and dried fruits, which will complement not only the coffee, but also the chocolate. And we remain local, and it's for the 200th anniversary of this company, Capel, so it's a little bit special as well, because we're in a very special place and time today. Can I? I hope that you'll be happy with this suggestion, sir.
You want to follow me? So you look here, and for your for your next task, you will have 9 minutes.
Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Do you want me to
Maybe
read
it doesn't work.
Read it.
Yeah, read it. It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It doesn't hurt, I think.
So we got another microphone here for.
So, wonderful. Please decant a magnum of Tomero Malbec Grand Reserva 2011 and serve it to us. Would you like that I repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Please decant a magnum of Tomero Malbec Grand Reserva 2011 and serve it to us.
Certainly.
Thank you.
How many minutes
Sorry?
do I have? Sorry.
9 minutes.
9 minutes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Ah oui, c'est vrai. Alors, évidemment.
I'm going to use a larger carafe. I think this one probably needs a little more aeration. I will use a carafe a little bit wider. So Malbec, standing up, so I'm going to continue like this and be careful with the sediment at the bottom. Even though it's a young vintage, it shouldn't be too much sediment, but I'll still check for you. Always a pleasure to use to open those large bottles. I mean, it's proven that qualitatively they age much better and much longer. And when you're a larger group, it's actually lovely to get to share such a beautiful flacon. Might check the wine for you, sir. Thank you. It's absolutely perfect. You should have a really good time. I'm really sorry, I'm not meant to hold a magnum like this, but my hands are too small to do differently. So I will have to hold it that way, like a champagne magnum. It's a young vintage, so I'm being careful with the sediment, but I'm also encouraging a little bit of oxygenation because it will be positive for the wine to really allow it to express itself fully. Happy to taste it.
Thank you.
Yes. We have some beautiful. We have a beautiful classic ragu today on the menu, which I think would be really lovely with this wine.
By the way, Mr. Flores does not drink red wine.
Of course.
Sitting over there, but he would love to taste the Silvaner. Would you please serve it to him and give some explanation about the wine?
Of course, I would be delighted to do so.
Thank you very much.
That for you now, sir. Now I realize I didn't give you the same glass. I'm going to change it. I'm afraid the rest of them are not clean enough for me to give you the big glasses, so I will remain on the small option. And for you, for the Sylvaner, so it's a producer called Spital in Würzburg, which is a region of Germany from Franken, 2014. And the name of the bottle is called box bottle. It's a very traditional shaped bottle from this region. So let me organize it for you now, sir. Really beautiful. Sylvaner is a grape that was underestimated for many years and that really gives some beautiful example of wines nowadays, not only in Germany but also quite a few examples in Alsace. The wine with a lovely, generally not a lot of acidity, but this one is actually extremely balanced. I think it's because of the vintage. It has quite a lot of vibrancy to it. And a lovely texture, then it's quite silky on the palate. It works especially well with the ceviche that we have at the moment. We have a ceviche of scallops with a little dressing of passion fruit, which I think would be really lovely with it. Make sure you have the same one as your guest. The same glass as your guest, sorry.
2 minutes.
Wine into. So I hope you enjoy your dinner with us tonight. If there is anything else that we can do to help, I would be delighted to do so. And please enjoy your tasting, gentlemen. decanter for you on the table, just in case we need the guéridon tonight. Are you drinking tap water, still water, or sparkling water? Yes. Feel for you as well, sir.
Time.
You're welcome.
Okay. First blind testing with 3 glasses. Don't worry about this one at the moment. You have 3 different wines. We would like you to identify them as closely as possible. You don't need to describe them. 2 wines have something in common. Please find the common point. You will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
You
Would
get
you like me
ready?
to repeat, yes,
Mhm.
please?
You have 3 different wines. We would like you to identify them as closely as possible. You don't need to describe them. 2 wines have something in common. Please find the common point. You will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Thank you.
You ready?
Thank you.
Time.
Wine number 1 is an aromatic grape varietal. I think it's a Muscat-based wine, probably from a coastal area, I would say from Sicily. Wine number 2 is a Riesling grape varietal. With a mild touch of residual sugar, but very, very balanced by the acidity. I think this is German. I think this is from the Mosel. And I think wine number 3 is also German. However, it is not a Riesling. I think this could be a Sylvaner. And they're all very fresh and light, so I would say number 1 must be 2014 vintage. Number 2, except if it's a screw cap, it could be a bit older because it doesn't age as fast, but I would say 2014. Number 2, I think must be a 2000 and...
Time. This wine. Could you please provide a full organoleptic description and identification of this wine? You will have 3 minutes.
Certainly.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Time.
Okay, the wine is clear and bright. It has a pale lemon color with some green tinges that could indicate that the wine is young. There is no sign of sediment, no CO2, however, maybe a little bit of CO2 actually, a little bit of CO2. And the viscosity is light. The legs are floating very fast along the glass. The nose is clean, healthy, useful, of medium intensity but very refined. It reveals some very floral notes of white rose. There is also quite a lot of citrus fruit with some lime and lemon, a little touch of mandarin and pink grapefruit. After aeration, the wine shows a little more complexity. There is now quite a lot of stone fruit coming through, with some yellow nectarine and some white peaches. There is no oak influence on that nose. And there is a little touch of minerality indicative of terroir. The wine is dry. It has a medium level of acidity, however, it's very precise, the acidity, and very refreshing. The meat palette is a little bit more ample than the attack. It has a beautiful expression of fruit, very similar to the nose, with an emphasis on the pink grapefruit, the minerality, and the touch of stone fruit. The texture is very silky, quite ample. There is a beautiful balance with the alcohol. The alcohol is medium, a little maybe over medium, but it's extremely well integrated, very balancing. The finish tapers off, and it finishes on a twist of bitterness, which is actually very pleasant and very refreshing. And it lingers for about 6 Caudalie, which is actually a pretty good finish. It has a very cleansing finish on minerality. I think this is a very good wine. It's a wine that I would say you could enjoy now for its youthful character. However, I think there is enough acidity and balance into it to be enjoyed for the next 3 to 5 years. I would serve this wine around 10 degrees to minimize the alcohol impression but maximize the beautiful purity of the fruit. I would love to serve this wine with some langoustine served with a lime sauce, just pan-seared, very lightly pan-seared with a lime sauce to mirror those beautiful flavors, citrus sauce. I think this wine is a single grape varietal. I think this is moderate climate. I think this is probably a grape like Vermentino. I think this could be a Vermentino from Sardinia, vintage 2014. I would serve these glasses in these beautiful tulip-shaped glasses.
Time. Okay, blind tasting number 3, so don't worry about this one for the time being. Free wine. You have 3 different wines. We would like you to identify them as closely as possible. You don't need to describe them. You will have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And for you to know, we are not looking for a common point, even if there is one. Let me to repeat one more.
Yes, please.
Okay. We have 3 different wines. We would like you to identify them as closely as possible. You don't need to describe them. You will have 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and we are not looking for a common point, even if there is one. Are you ready?
Yes.
Time.
Number 2 is Nebbiolo grape varietal, Piemonte, and I would say Langhe Nebbiolo vintage 2010. Number 3, I would say, is the Malbec. From Argentina, Mendoza, maybe Valdeuco vintage 2013. Number 1, I would say, could be a Malbec from France, Cahors, vintage 2012. I think it's a warmer climate than this, so. Maybe a Petit Verdot from Argentina, vintage 2012. Even though the color is a little light, but there's a good coloring legs and a lot of tannins.
Could you please provide a full organoleptic description and identification of this wine? You will have 3 minutes. Like me to repeat one more?
Yes, please. I'm just trying to
Could you
fix it.
please provide a full organoleptic description and identification of this wine? You will have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Time,
So the one is clear and bright. It has a deep, nearly opaque garnet color to the core, with relatively thin, yet a rim with a touch of orange, showing some aging. There is quite a few pieces of cloth floating in the glass, no sign of CO2, and the viscosity is high. The legs are forming some regular arches, and they are slightly coloring the glass. The nose is clean, healthy. It shows some development. There is a beautiful, intense presence of dark fruit with some blackberry, some red currant. There is also a touch of chestnut on the nose. After aeration, the wine shows a little more intensity and complexity. There is now quite a lot of dried flowers like potpourri on the nose. A little touch of sweet spices, such as some clove and some cinnamon, which for me are indicative of oak aging. And there is also a little touch of tobacco. The more you aerate it, the more it reveals itself, and it turns to be pretty much like a bouquet. The one is dry, it's full-bodied, it has a high level of really refreshing acidity. The middle palate is ample, fleshy, yet firm. Aromatically speaking, it's very similar to the nose, with an emphasis on the dried flowers, the potpourri, the dark fruits, the touch of sweet spices, which really show a very well-judged presence of oak. The level of tannins is high. They're really coating the tongue, the gums, and the teeth when you are finishing. The alcohol level is on the higher side, however, very well integrated, very supportive. The finish tapers off after this beautiful ample flesh on the mid palates. It lasts for about 5-6 caudalis, so rather a long finish, and it finishes on those beautiful touch of sweet spiciness, with especially the cinnamon, a little bit of clove, and the tobacco. I think this wine is a beautiful wine. It's high quality wine. It's very well made. However, it's a wine which would need to be aerated if you were to drink it now to allow this full structure to open up. Otherwise, a wine that can definitely be aged for another 8 to 10 years. A wine that I would recommend to drink 16, 17 degrees to minimize the alcohol impression a little bit, but really maximize the purity, the expression of the fruit, serve in some large Cabernet shaped glasses to allow the structure to show off. I would serve this with some wild boar, a classic ragout of wild boar and maybe some chestnuts and some mushrooms such as some pied de mouton or some ceps.
Time. Right. We have a customer who is hesitating to buy a few cases of this wine. Could you please convince him to buy it? You will have 2 minutes.
Of course.
Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Time.
Well, I think it would be fantastic to buy for reserve for different reasons. First of all, it's a wine that could be enjoyed now if you carafe it, if you aerate it, if maybe at least half an hour and a half in advance. Not too much. I don't like leaving the wine open too long in the carafe because there is the mystery of discovering a wine which is gone if you do it too early in advance. You could serve it with some robust dish such as wild boar. If you were to if you were to buy it, and I have a few cases, it's a wine that can definitely age. There is fantastic potential for at least 8 to 10 years. If you can leave it in some good condition, so a cellar with a relatively high level of humidity, maybe about 80% humidity, about 12 degree temperature in the dark. It's a wine which will evolve in more kind of savory, earthy character with maybe some earthy, noble mushrooms coming through, I would imagine, with evolution. It's a wine that is very, I think, universal as a style. It's a one that a lot of people could understand because it has a lot of fruit weight, which is not the case in a lot of wine. The acidity is there, but it's just balancing and very refreshing. It's a wine that could, I think it's, if you were to organize some parties with some of your friends, that could you organize maybe in blind tasting. It's a very interesting one to blind taste people with because I think it's quite typical of what it is and at the same time outstanding quality. So really, it's the kind of wine when you open a bottle, you regret you don't have a second, on a third, on a fourth to see how it would evolve once you have it in your cellar. So I would say, yes, it would be a fantastic buy to at least get a case, or if you can afford it, I would say 2 cases would be ideal. So I hope you'll enjoy this tasting in the future if you decide to buy the wines.
Pardon? Oui. There are 8 spirits. Can you please match each glass with one of the proposed spirit? You have 3 minutes. You like me to repeat?
Yes.
You repeat?
Yes, sorry. Yes. Yes.
There are 8 spirits. Can you please match each glass with one of the proposed spirit? You have 3 minutes.
Certainly. Thank you very much.
Time.
Okay, that's the tequila. That's the tequila Don Julio. It's a pisco.
Give a number.
Oh, sorry. So number 8. Number 8 is a pisco. Number 4 is a tequila. Number 1 is an Armagnac. Number 2 is a cognac. Folle Blanche. Number 4 is a Calvados. I don't think, no, there is none on the, so that must be a vieille prune, sorry, there is no Calvados on the list. This has some American oak, so it's a Bourbon Bullet Kentucky on number 5. Number 6, sorry, is a vieille prune, so I'll have to go back on the previous one. Number 7 is a whiskey, it's a Japanese whiskey. Eight pisco. Four tequila. Three is a cognac. One is the rum, sorry. 2 is the Armagnac. And 3 is the cognac. 4 is the tequila. 5 is the Bourbon. 6 is the vieille prune. 7 is the whiskey. And 8 is the pisco.
One more testing.
Okay.
Could you please test this product, provide a short organoleptic description of it, and make your customer dream? You will have 2 minutes.
That's fine, thank you. So first of all, it's a product that has a beautiful natural color, even though it is green. It has a pale green with a little touch of kind of yellow gold in it, but it's totally natural, the color, which I think is really good for this type of color on the product. The nose is clean, it's very aromatic, there is a lot of beautiful herbs coming through, it's quite complex. Once again, very natural aromatically, there is nothing that smells artificial. There is quite a lot of flavors like aromas like thyme and rosemary. It smells very Provençal in a way. And then on the palate, you have this beautiful, luxurious texture. It's sweet, it's a liqueur, but there is a good energy to it because there is a good acidity. There is a lovely level of alcohol, which is actually quite present, quite warming, that makes you feel comfortable. It's aromatic, it's rounded. You find, again, those beautiful flavors of herbs in it. So it's a liqueur of herbs. It could be something like a Chartreuse Verte. It's absolutely beautiful, and the length of it is just endless. It lingers forever and forever and forever. It has a little kind of honey twist on the finish, which is just absolutely beautiful. I think it's a product of really high quality. If really you enjoy herbs liqueur and liqueur in general, it's definitely something I would recommend to taste because it has intensity and finesse at the same time. It has a beautiful, the texture is very charming, very enchanting. The lens is, it's absolutely a magical product. I think it's outstanding quality, so I would really, really highly recommend that you taste it. It's beautiful. You could serve it a little bit cooler, maybe, just to temper the alcohol. That's the only thing I would recommend. Maybe keep it in your fridge and just savor it. Leave the temperature rise up a little bit to discover the beautiful complexity of the product with the degrees coming up. And I think just sit back and enjoy it.
Time. Okay. Voilà. Here. The last task of the first part. So, I might have a little bit of, I think the technology is working now, so don't worry.
Okay.
So when I will say go, you will have to wait before the first slide comes. This task is a mistake on the wine list. You're going to have 8 slides.
Okay.
In each slide, there will be 3 wine, 1 mistake.
Okay.
We will want you to identify the mistake for each slide. The slide will only stay 30 seconds, so every 30 seconds we change. So
Okay.
8 times 30 seconds. So in a moment we'll say go, there will be a first page with nothing. Then when the first slide will come with the wine, your time will start.
Okay.
Is it clear? Would you like?
Yes. I'm allowed to go closer to the screen? Or?
Yes, you can
Okay.
come. Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
But Ambon is just on the market in 2000, so it's fine. I think it's Dom Pérignon. P2 vintage is the current vintage is 98. The current vintage of Dom Pérignon P2 is actually 98 for the white. Giaconda is not in Margaret River. Giaconda is in Victoria. Giaconda is in Macedon Ranges or I think Giaconda is in Macedon Ranges. Definitely not in Margaret River in Australia. Cheval des Andes is not in Vistabal. Cheval des Andes is in Las Compuertas in Argentina. Like the Penfold Range B95 is probably a white wine and not a red wine. I don't think Janus is from Pesquera. 2001 wasn't produced in Chateau d'Yquem. The Miti Samin de Vétroz is not a fortified wine, it's actually a natural sweet wine in the valley. It should be in the sweet wine page, but not in the fortified wine page.
Bravo.